Members, good afternoon. This is the appointed time and we have a quorum. Let me welcome members to the meeting of the panel on housing. This is the 1st of September. Let's begin. Mr. Stanley Ng is otherwise engaged today, so I'm standing in for him as chair to preside over the meeting. First item, information papers issued since the last meeting. The Secretariat has received some information papers since the last meeting. You will find details in the agenda. Items for discussion at the next meeting. The next regular meeting is scheduled for the 6th of October 2025, a Monday at 2:30 p.m. This panel will receive a briefing by the Secretary for Housing on the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address. Any comments? If not, let's move on to the agenda proper. We have two items today. The first one is performance of the environmental targets and initiatives of the Hong Kong Housing Authority in 2024-25. So let me welcome the administration to our meeting. I understand that the members are keen to speak. I see that they've pressed the button. So after hearing from the administration, the floor will be open for questions. So when you're ready, please walk us through the paper with the PowerPoint. Good afternoon, Chairman, members. In relation to environmental targets and initiatives of the Housing Authority in 2024-25, I'm happy to report that we meet all the targets. Mr. Wong from the Housing Department will spend a few minutes with the aid of a PowerPoint to give you the salient points. Chairman, members, good afternoon. Just for background, the Housing Authority established its environmental policy to promote healthy living and a green environment, and also to enhance the standard of living in order to meet or achieve carbon neutrality. In response to the public's concern, we have incorporated environmental initiatives into the planning, design, construction, and demolition for public housing, estate management, etc. In 2024-25, we set a number of environmental targets covering 5 aspects, namely energy saving, green building, climate change adaptation, waste management, enhancement of environmental awareness and participation in environmental protection initiatives, as well as green housekeeping. So first, on energy saving and green buildings. Through a series of energy saving measures, the monthly average electricity consumption in communal areas of public rental housing estates has been reduced from 54.9 kilowatt hour in 2015 to 45.2 kilowatt hours in 2025 per unit. That's a reduction of about 17%. Now, we have exceeded the interim target set in the Hong Kong Climate Action Plan 2050, which is to reduce electricity consumption in residential buildings by 10 to 15% by 2035. Now, about building services installations in the communal areas of new public housing, the average energy consumption target was set at not exceeding 23.5 kilowatt hour per square meter per annum. In terms of estimation of carbon emissions and energy consumption, we select representative housing blocks to conduct carbon audits in order to monitor carbon emissions. Based on the data collected, the carbon footprint of the relevant buildings dropped by an average of 29% compared to the record in 2011-2012. Let me now explain energy saving measures and the relevant BSIs. For example, we have gearless lifts, regenerative powers for lifts and LED lightings, environmental lighting controls in the common areas, etc. In 2024-25, grid-connected photovoltaic panels were installed in altogether 162 buildings. We've also installed grid-connected flexible photovoltaic panels for 58 existing domestic blocks since 2022. So altogether, we're able to offset about 3,000 tons of carbon emission. That's equivalent to the consumption for 29,000 households. We also have BIPV technology applied, and that is building integrated photovoltaic technology in suitable projects to promote renewable energy. I now come to the construction stage. Again, we have adopted green procurement. We require contractors to submit and implement environmental performance plans, management plans, and use environment-friendly equipment. For new public housing projects, contractors are required to use green materials. They should also adopt relevant construction methods such as MIC and MIMEP. We've also introduced the use of robotics technology so as to reduce repetitive procedures. This will provide stability over manual labor, and it also enables precise construction and reduction in material wastage. In fact, according to data for Anderson Road Quarry site, data shows that by adopting prefabricated components, we're able to reduce site water consumption by 50%, electricity usage by 10%, and site waste disposal by about 40%. Next, green building certification. Our target is to achieve gold rating or above in the assessment of the Hong Kong Green Building Council's Building Environmental Assessment Method Plus for new buildings. Since 2011, we have had 84 public housing projects certified under BEAM Plus, receiving either final or provisional gold rating, with additional 13 projects achieving platinum rating. On electric vehicles, for both existing and new public housing estates, we want to apply EV charging facilities extensively. HA has provided EV chargers at about 3,800 private car parking spaces in about 140 car parks. It is expected that about 1,500 EV chargers will be installed in new projects next year. And for new public housing projects and the car parks, relevant EV chargers will be installed. The next aspect is climate change adaptation. We adopt climate adaptive design in new public housing projects to adapt climate change and enhance overall climate resilience. We also conducted microclimate study at the design stage and air ventilation assessment as necessary, taking into account the design's natural ventilation, daylight, thermal comfort to optimize project design. We also have regard to the surrounding terrain, stormwater discharge, and groundwater level. With the assistance of Building Information Technology and Geographic Information System, we conducted flood analysis. I now turn to urban greening and cherishing water resources. The greening coverage for new public housing projects was at least 20%. And we also conducted landscape improvement works in 20 selected PRH estates. We also continue to carry out such improvement works in about 20 selected PRH estates to improve slope works as well as enhance green coverage. In order to enhance climate resilience on the rooftop of new PRH estates, we have installed a stormwater housing system. And since 2016, we have installed such zero irrigation system at 44 new public housing projects. The third aspect is waste management. We continued to implement the program on source separation of domestic waste in existing PRH estates. We set up collection points through an incentive scheme. We collect domestic recyclables. To enhance residents' awareness of waste separation at source and clean recycling, and to tie in with the government's policy, we organized various publicity activities with the EPD and other green groups. We set up recycling facilities. On food waste, the EPD has provided additional food waste smart recycling bins with priority given to PRH estates in the third quarter of 2024. The target is to facilitate food waste recycling covering about 800 domestic blocks in 2 years. We also collaborated with the EPD and other government departments in various environmental protection activities or trial schemes. This year, we extended domestic food waste recycling service to all PRH estates. We also implemented food waste collection trial scheme in 25 wet markets. We installed vending machines for recycling plastic beverage containers in 19 PRH estates and smart recycling bins in 14 estates. We arranged PRH estates in 9 districts to participate in a one-stop recycling service, Green Collect, under which recyclables with low commercial value were collected. We also set up mini recycling stores to expand the community recycling network. The fourth aspect is enhancement of environmental awareness and participation in green initiatives. We organized 2 action seedling program in 2024. That means we distributed seeds or potted plants to local residents and community members before completion of estates for nursing seedlings, which would be transplanted to the planting areas of completed estates. For new PRH projects, we encourage residents to participate in gardening under the community garden areas programs. We also have various activities on planting, on tree planting or community gardening to raise awareness. You will see 2 thematic mascots in the slide, namely Waste Reduction Bee and Slim Rubbish Bin. They promoted tips on domestic waste reduction under the theme of Let's Join Hands to Reduce Waste in Our Estates. We continue to enhance residents' awareness and their participation in waste separation at source, waste reduction, and other green initiatives. We'll continue to set up the green corners in order to enhance environmental awareness. We also have recycling campaigns and competitions for domestic waste, as well as competitions on mooncake case collection. The last aspect is greenhouse keeping. The HA continued to implement green initiatives in its offices, such as reducing paper consumption, reducing water consumption. On electricity consumption, each staff consumed an average of 3,040 kilowatt per hour of electricity, which met the target. In 2024-25, we arranged 33 seminars, lectures, courses to strengthen awareness for staff with 1,084 participants. The way forward, we have set pragmatic and aggressive targets. We will continue to strive to meet all the environmental initiatives to support sustainable development of public housing. That's all from me. Thank you, Assistant Director. I see that 10 members have pressed the button waiting to speak. Let me read out their names. So Chang Wing, Kenneth Leung, Dominic Lee, Yao Wing Kit, Wendy Hong, Tony Jie, Kwok Wai Keung, Doreen Kong, Lam Sen Keung, Judy Chan, and Lee Chen Keung, who just pressed the button. Altogether, 11 members. I'll give each member 4 minutes question and answer. Please allow the administration time to answer a question.
Thank you, Chair. To achieve our environmental targets, we hope the government can roll out effective measures in PRH estates, and this would yield great results. Indeed, the government has been working hard. I have two questions. First, in new public housing projects, in terms of your overall management as well as a management mindset, I think you've done a lot. For example, you have the well-being campaign. There are also messages such as increasing green coverage as well as enhancing the provision of EV charging facilities and the zero irrigation system. These are all very good designs. What about existing housing estates? I see that you're trying to install EV charging facilities in phases, and you're promoting the food waste collection system and recycling bins. In 29 housing estates, you're launching the landscape improvement works. This is a small ratio compared to the 260 PRH estates we have in Hong Kong. So how can the government take into consideration the existing circumstances and expeditiously realize your environmental performance targets? That's my first question. Second, food waste collection is definitely an important initiative in PRH estates. The administration said within 2 years' time, smart recycling bins will be installed in 800 blocks of PRH estates. So my question is, how will you be able to promote PRH residents' participation? What measures will you put in place? Also, I want to know what measures you will take to control the quality of recyclables, and how will you enable residents to voluntarily recycle food waste and achieve clean recycling? Administration. Thank you, Chair. I thank Dr. So for the questions. The Housing Authority has been adopting numerous new ideas. In terms of energy saving, we've been installing photovoltaic panels. We're using double-sided panels. Through reflection, it can absorb solar energy. We also have BIPV, that is an integrated photovoltaic technology. We are trialing this technology, so with the glasses you can also absorb solar energy. Currently in PRH estates, we have 28% of the car parking spaces with EV charging facilities. We have 19% of the registered EVs making use of these facilities. We hope to continue to promote these initiatives. We hope that in future, 100% of the car parking spaces will be EV enabled. That is, they will be equipped with charging facilities by 2030. We hope that at least 50% of the parking spaces will have these facilities installed. On food waste, I defer to Mr. Wong. On food waste collection, we have been launching different promotional activities. As said, within 2 years' time, we hope that there will be a food waste recycling bin in each block. From July 2024 to July 2025, the recycling rate increased by 60%. The government has been through educational and publicity campaigns, or, for example, competitions, enhance the results. Mr. Kenneth Leung, the HA has been adopting different environmental initiatives to reduce waste and to save energy. I hope the HA can do more. We have already exceeded the interim target in the Hong Kong Climate Action Plan 2050. I have a couple of questions. As mentioned by Dr. So, you talked about photovoltaic panels. Well, as far as I understand, this is a very mature technology and this is a very effective measure. Do you have a roadmap in place, or do you have any thoughts in terms of how you can, in old or existing PRH domestic blocks, install photovoltaic panels? Can you carry out a study, for example, to tell us which buildings are suitable for installing these panels? And will you have a timetable for the suitable buildings? In terms of materials and hardware, I want to ask about your publicity efforts. According to the paper, you have been promoting food waste collection and other environmental campaigns, but in terms of energy saving and reducing water consumption, how much work have you done to promote these initiatives? We need our PRH tenants and all PRH residents to increase their awareness. We have done a lot to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Dongjiang water supply. So I think we can make use of this opportunity to do more. Now, turning to construction materials, I understand that the initiatives may not apply to every single domestic block, but do you have a guidelines for example, using certain proportion of green construction materials in the construction stage? Administration. I thank Mr. Leung for the questions. For the first two questions, I will invite our colleagues in charge of PRH estates to reply. On green construction materials, we have a set of guidelines for green procurement. For materials like concrete or wooden slabs, we have to do the SFC certification. For these green construction materials, when we first used them, they were quite expensive. However, after years of procurement experiences, we believe that these materials can greatly reduce carbon emissions. So we will continue to procure these types of materials. I'll invite Mr. Derek Low, to tell you more about our promotional efforts. Thank you. About the use of PV. In existing PRH estates, we have been installing flexible panels since 2011. Because of their loading capacity and the other restrictions, they are different from the newly completed buildings. We have installed 58 such flexible PV panels. If we are able to identify suitable devices, we will continue to promote the use of such panels. Now, on our promotional efforts, we attach importance to energy-saving behavior of PRH residents. Together with the power companies, we have launched dozens of activities, and they have given souvenirs to our PRH residents, and we have achieved great results. In newly completed estates, we have a monitoring system which displays the use of water and electricity to residents, to remind residents to save water and electricity. We will continue with this effort in future. Mr. Dominic Lee, I'd like to first thank the Housing Authority for its efforts in protecting our environment. We hope to achieve our carbon neutrality goals by 2050. I'd like to ask about cost effectiveness. According to your paper, $80,000 8 kilowatt hours of electricity is generated through the PV panels. And how do you compare the cost with the market price, and how do you ensure long-term maintenance and repair of these PV panels, and how can we ensure cost recovery? Apart from cost effectiveness, I want to turn to mini recovery stations. They are very popular among PRH residents. In Chunyuan Estate in Shatin, the recycling rate has been very high. This shows that we have a high demand for these recycling facilities. Will DHA consider providing at least one of these mini recovery stations in each PRH estate. Administration. On the cost of PV panels, we have compiled some statistics. For each domestic block, we need $340,000 for the PV panels. For repair and maintenance, it's about $6,000 per year. For the PV panels installed, they are connected to our power grid, and for each kilowatt hour of electricity, we get $3 to $4 back. The cost recovery period will be about 8 to 15 years, but the duration of the period will depend on how many PV panels we install. Because of various constraints, we might not be able to install the PV panels in some buildings. In terms of the mini recovery stations, I will invite Mr. Wong to tell you more. We have 50 such mini recovery stations in the PRH estates managed by the Housing Authority. These stations are operated by NGOs. If the EPD would like to provide more of such recovery stations, we would welcome the idea. How about the Mutual Aid Committee? Well, if they'd like to introduce more of these stations, we will work with the Mutual Aid Committee to provide vacant spaces for these stations. Mr. Kitson Young. I want to know how pragmatic and progressive your targets are. Let's talk about the food waste recycling bins first. Your target is to, within 2 years' time, have 800 smart recycling bins. I work with the home and teen residents, and I see that some residents encountered difficulties in recycling food waste. I want to know by when you'll be able to have the smart recycling bins cover all PRH estates in Hong Kong. Now I want to turn to EV charging facilities. You said 28% of the parking spaces are equipped with such facilities. For the existing PRH estates, the installation rate is not very high. So how progressive will you be to ensure that the old existing PRH estates will be covered? Take Kowloon City as an example. Kai Ching Estate and Tek Long Estate. Many residents there told me that there is a lack of EV charging facilities. So how will you increase the coverage rate of EV chargers? Thirdly, about greening. I don't think you need to be so aggressive in this respect. In the past, I was told that if there is too much greening area, there would be mosquito problems, and residents are disturbed. Can you introduce plants that can prevent mosquito problems? If you simply increase the greening area for the sake of it, local residents may be disturbed.
Deputy Director, let me first answer the question on greening. For public housing estates spanning over 2 hectares, our design is to have 30% greening coverage. This is subject to adjustment. Say, if this housing estate is in the countryside, then we can suitably adjust the percentage. Now, as for our tree planting strategy, we need to have regard to the local circumstances, and we'll definitely choose plant species that can be more resilient towards mosquito infestation. I'll give the floor to Mr. Ng to answer the question on food waste. Yes, within 2 years, we strive to install a bin per block and we strive to complete that by 2026. EV chargers. I want to supplement. In the past year, we installed an additional 1,600 medium chargers as well as 1,400 base stations for EV chargers. So we have close to 3,800 or 4,000 parking spaces equipped with EV chargers. However, we understand that there's a surge in the number of EVs, and we're having regard to the government's policy. Now, members may be familiar with the existing approach. We have parking spaces for rent, and it's for the car owner to apply for a charger to be installed. But there is a problem. So we will follow the latest government practice, and that we install mobile chargers instead, so that each charger can serve more than one vehicle. Because if you're an owner of an EV, you would know that you don't need to charge every day. Right, you have 260 PRH estates. Please make sure that you speed up the installation of EV chargers because of the huge demand. This is the frequent criticism from local residents. Dr. Wendy Hong. Thank you, Chair. I thank the administration for briefing us on the environmental targets and initiatives. I have two questions. Engaging the performance of a building, you need to consider the whole life cycle, that is from cradle to grave. Now we have 30,000 light public housing and also 20,000 transitional housing units. Upon completion of their historic mission, we have 50,000 modular units. Some of the components can be reused, but not all. There are components such as kitchens, toilets, sewerage systems that may not be reused. The cost of disinfection may be higher than building new ones. So we need to find a way to address the 50,000 units as quickly as possible, so as not to start an eco disaster. The second point is that we have 1,500 public housing blocks. In terms of building design to promote sustainability, you should go for the low-hanging fruit that will bring greater efficiency and cost effectiveness. Now, the paper refers to green procurement. Will the administration consider giving priority to locally certified low-carbon materials for maintenance, etc.? For example, we have steel production in Hong Kong as well. This can help ensure local supply whilst reducing carbon footprint. Will the government consider according priority? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Hong, for the questions. Now, the Housing Authority adopts a very important concept. We adopt 4 R's, in other words, collection, reuse, recycling, etc. So for construction materials, likewise, we want to reduce wastage as much as possible. For housing estates, we apply coats of painting that's more environmentally friendly. We also have green procurement, MIC. We use wood materials from sustainable forest resources. Even for tiles, we strive to use recycled materials. So we will continue to adopt the 4R strategy in the future. As for green materials, we are discussing with the Hong Kong Green Building Council on the use of certified green building materials. That includes low carbon intensity materials. For example, we are discussing with concrete suppliers as to whether green certification can be obtained. Well, my focus is on locally produced construction materials. Even for the transportation process, you'll be able to reduce carbon emission. The member has made a very good point. We strive to reduce carbon emission, but we need to strike a balance. For example, we need to consider the durability, cost, and carbon intensity of the materials. Indeed, some of the construction materials are imported from the mainland. They meet our criteria, and we will not only adopt from procurement from a single source. We need to make sure that the materials are cost effective and that quality-wise they meet our requirement as well. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate the Housing Authority for meeting the environmental targets, but I have some follow-up questions. For new public housing projects, you've achieved a BEAM Plus rating. So can you tell us more about the level of rating under BEAM Plus, and will there be further initiatives to promote green construction? My second point is about green construction materials. I'm sure the Housing Authority upholds their own standards in new public housing projects. And each unit comes with a kitchen and a toilet, and you sometimes provide the internal fittings, sometimes not. So how do you make sure that green materials will be used? Especially since local residents are concerned about toxic fumes and materials. My other point is about waste management. You want to encourage waste separation and recycling. For existing housing estates, do they require new facilities to be built? Because for housing estates built long ago, there may not even be waste collection facilities. They just put rubbish outside their door. So what will be done? Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your comments. For existing buildings, we do not go by the BEAM Plus rating. In the future, we will actively consider following the BEAM Plus standard. About internal fittings within the units, as you know, we adopt a no-frills principle. We provide only the basic necessities for tenants. We need to follow the laws and regulations in terms of the provision of taps, basins. These are necessities. So in procuring these items, to answer members' question whether we'll go for low carbon products, at the moment we have not set out in a contract which level of low carbon products should be procured. I thank the member for the reminder. Now, as for the intake stage, some local residents may decide to dismantle the basins and drying racks and just throw them away. As you know, we have stopped providing such facilities in order to reduce wastage. We will conduct surveys to gauge the needs of local residents, and we'll learn from experience and see whether we can make better use of the waste disposed so as to promote recycling. Next, Mr. Kwok Wai Keung. For public housing estate, I think we can do so much more to promote environmental protection. We have some really densely populated neighborhoods, and we also have a single management model. Comparing to private buildings, we have more open space and common space to take forward green initiatives. So I do have high expectations. There are 6 aspects regarding the work of the HA, such as energy saving, green building, climate change adaptation, waste management, raising awareness, and enhancing participation, etc. In the past, there were 6 aspects. Now there are only 5. For example, you have done away with water saving and control on harmful materials, and you've added a new aspect called green housekeeping. So does it mean that the original aspects have been combined under these 5 existing aspects? Because another member just mentioned the 60th anniversary of the supply of Dongjiang water to Hong Kong, and we are quite concerned about water. The next question is this, and this is an issue close to members' heart. I see that it's more efficient to collect food waste in public housing estates, and I understand that you have the scheme to have 1 bin per block. So do you have an analysis of the data collected? For example, can you tell us which block collects a larger amount of food waste and vice versa? Will you be able to locate the relevant blocks so as to allocate resources in a more efficient and precise manner? The third point is about the beverage carton reverse vending machine. And as you know, we are going to introduce producer responsibility scheme for various products through legislation. I want to know whether there is a timetable for putting in place reverse vending machines for these recyclables to enhance the effectiveness. 3 questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for the questions. We changed the number of aspects from 6 to 5 this year. We have done away with 2, that is water saving as well as handling of harmful materials. Now, these 2 aspects have been incorporated in our overall work plan. We have not laid down specific targets. Water saving initiatives. Now, as you know, we adopt MIC in the construction stage, and by using MIC, we're able to save water by 50%. This has greatly enhanced efficiency. As for control of harmful substance such as asbestos, we have regular monitoring, and we lay down protocols to make sure that local residents will not be exposed to such harmful materials. And that is why we have done away with these 2 aspects. So the members made the correct point. About the beverage carton reverse vending machine and food waste, I'll give the floor to my colleague. On food waste, on a monthly basis, the EPD exchange information with the Housing Department on, for example, which block has collected a larger amount of food waste. And that priority will be given to blocks collecting larger amount of food waste. We will provide more such smart bins quickly. We have 98 estates out of the 195 with bin installed per block. The EPD will continue to check the data. Next, Ms. Doreen Kong. Thank you, Chair. According to the administration, at the outset, they mentioned that they have met the environmental targets in full. I want to know how these targets are set. Has it to do with achieving carbon neutrality by 2050? Does it mean that according to your version, by 2050, these housing estates will meet the carbon neutrality target. Is there any difference between existing and new public housing estates on energy saving targets? The other point is this. It's quite specific. In your PowerPoint presentation, you mentioned the installation of LED lighting. What about sensors? Do you have motion sensors installed to make sure that the light will be dimmed if no one is around? I understand if sensors are installed, you can save much more in your electricity bill. Now, the next point is about lifts. Do you use elevator regenerative power system? It's called ERS. That means during braking of the lift, power will be generated, and the power it can be stored. Have you installed the energy saving feature here? And then you mentioned the target, a bin per block. That's your target within the next 2 years. Well, it's supposed to be a target, and then the wording has been changed. You hope that a bin will be installed per block in the next 2 years. Now, what if we introduce municipal solid waste charging next year? Will you be ready?
I thank Mr. Ring Kong for the questions. When we set targets, we draw reference from, for example, the Hong Kong Climate Action Plan 2050. By 2030, we have to reduce electricity consumption by 10 to 15%. How can we know for sure whether we manage to reduce electricity consumption? We conduct carbon audits. We select 14 different types of BRH estates, and we come up with a benchmark. We do carbon audits every year. Since 2011 till the present, the benchmark is that we have reduced electricity consumption by about 17%. Now, on cost effectiveness, we use green construction materials, we adopt green procurement. We have what we call an average cost. Every year we review the average cost of construction to find out whether the green measures would increase the return tender price, and if that's the case, we will try to lower the cost. On the question about sensors, I will invite Mr. Low to address the questions. I thank the member for the questions. We do install sensors. If the laws permit, we would do so. We have some kind of lights installed in fire escapes, and for those lights we cannot install sensors, but we do in other places install sensors to reduce electricity consumption. We also have what we call the two-level sensing system. For those with poor vision, they need a brighter environment, and if you press a button, you can make the light brighter. On lift regenerated power, about for lifts of 8 kilowatt or above, we adopt this design. How many lifts do you have that make use of this technology? Well, we did not have the relevant statistics. I don't remember exactly when we started adopting this technology. For older lifts, we will renovate them, and we will adopt the same design for these renovated lifts. But at present, I don't have the relevant information in hand. Mr. Ambrose Lam, to address problem of municipal solid waste, we will have to address the issue at source. If we recycle more waste, that means a smaller amount of waste will go to the incinerator or the landfill. I am particularly concerned about recycling of plastic waste. Microplastic has a huge impact on us. So I want to know how many types of plastic waste do you recycle at the recycling bins in PRH estates? In the past, we only recycled plastic beverage containers when we had the 4-color recycling bins. I want to know if more types of plastic waste are recycled nowadays, and is the usage rate high for these types of recycling bins? Also, the government has been promoting green at community in recent years, and how do you divide the work with the EPD? I ask Mr. to reply to the questions. Thank you. All along, we have been introducing more and more recycling facilities, such as the food waste collection bins. Also, the EPD has been introducing more and more smart recycling bins in PRH estates. In terms of the types of waste recycled, apart from plastic beverage containers, we also recycle other types of plastic waste, and we do so through a Green at Community managed by the EPD. Overall speaking, we've been working with the EPD on launching publicity campaigns and introducing recycling facilities, and we follow the government policies. So you've been making use of Green at Community as well? Well, I think the Green at Community scheme is a separate initiative under the EPD. So you've been working in silos. Well, if the EPD requires our assistance, we would do our best. Ms. Judy Chen, thank you. I'm happy to see that the Housing Authority has done a lot of work to protect our environment. From the PowerPoint presentation, we see that we are seeing a very good trend in terms of reducing carbon emissions. According to the paper, PRH residents' participation is crucial. Just now, you talked about Green at Community, and one reason why it's so popular is because if you bring your recyclables there, you can redeem a gift. I think this idea or this redemption scheme is very popular among residents. I hope that you will not only rely on Green at Community. In some private housing estates, residents are encouraged to bring their food waste downstairs, and immediately they'll be able to get, for example, soil or some kind of enzymes in return. I think we don't necessarily have to launch a point system. I think the education you provide behind is important as well. For example, you can teach residents how to make use of glass tiles that are broken. Now, I'm concerned about climate change. Every year we see a rise in temperature because of climate change. There's a paragraph in your paper that touches on climate change. What concrete measures have you put in place to cope with climate change? For example, will you make use of paint that helps lower the temperature? Well, the Secretary for Housing has been talking about enhancing the sense of well-being of residents. Will you make use of this kind of painting materials to lower the overall temperature of PRH estates? Thirdly, about smart meters. I know that CLP as well as HKE have been replacing water meters for PRH residents. Do you have such initiatives as well? Mr. Leung, now to cope with climate change, on coming up with building design, we do microclimate studies and air ventilation assessment. When we estimate the carbon emissions, we also set a baseline, and we make reference to this baseline. We have stepped up to analysis of data, and we also have the hot weather warning at construction site. We see extreme weather more and more often. We make use of BIM, Building Information Modeling, as well as GIS, Geographic Information System. We have what we call the flood alert system. We simulate flooding when we come up with the design so that we have a better idea of which area is more prone to flooding. For example, should the electricity meter plant room not be placed in the ground floor, we analyze the data and come up with the corresponding design. I'll ask Mr. Ng to supplement. On residents' participation, every year the Housing Authority organized planting days or community garden activities in 10 selected PRH estates to teach residents about planting. We also introduce organic planting materials to help PRH residents, and so that they can make use of compost to plant healthier plants. How about smart meter? Smart meters are installed by public utility organizations, and we have infrastructures that help them install smart meters. For smart electricity meters and smart water meters, we have relevant supporting facilities to help them with the installation. As far as I understand, we have smart meters installed in most of the PRH estates now. Can you provide the relevant figures after the meeting? We will check with the public utility companies to see if they can provide us with the statistics. Next, Mr. Michael Lee. Thank you, Chairman. The Housing Authority has put in place a lot of environmental initiatives in different PRH estates, and it has also introduced different facilities and devices to protect the environment. Just now, some members mentioned about how we can educate PRH residents as well as increase their participation in environmental initiatives. These are all very important. How can you make use of different gimmicks and put in money to increase the participation rate of green at community? I think what matters is we have to ensure sustainability and effectiveness. How can we put in place incentive schemes to encourage citizens to take part in the green initiatives? That's the first point. Second, can you host competitions among PRH estates? We have 18 districts in Hong Kong. For PRH estates in each of these 18 districts, be they old ones or new ones, how can they do more? I think the wisdom lies in the community. For the older generation, they may be able to offer you some very good ideas, and I think you can learn from them. Now, according to the paper, you have made use of MIC and MIMEP, and I think you have yielded results. You've also made use of hydrogen-powered equipment and generator in selected construction sites. I hope you can speed up your work in this regard, because this kind of generators are quite common in the mainland now. Lastly, you have put in so many resources in installing photovoltaic panels. Are you selling the power back to the power companies and get money back, or are you benefiting the PRH residents directly through these panels?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for the questions on sustainability. We are not passive. We have a scheme. It's a 2-year program. We invite NGOs to run some activities for us. These activities could be related to recycling, food waste, collection, and we proactively disseminate information to each and every estate. In fact, we have installed display boards, notice boards on the ground floor of each block. We provide information on electricity consumption, water consumption, and local residents are interested in finding out whether they fare better than the next block. We have a biennial survey. We ask local residents whether they now have greater environmental awareness, and we continue to make improvements. We have different channels to collect feedback from local residents. In fact, we also exchange ideas with NGOs. We've completed the first round. I understand 2 members would like to have a go again. Please be brief, Mr. Kwok Wai Keung. The last question hasn't been answered, and that is whether there is a timetable. I just want to know whether you will start the preparation early. But of course, you can wait until the producer responsibility scheme is fully implemented. Next, about EV chargers. I understand that several thousand more will be installed for new estates. Now, Chairman, I think we should not adopt expressions such as slow, medium, or quick chargers. Don't use vague expressions because we have different definitions in mind. Express the rate in kilowatt hours, for example. We want more chargers to be installed as quickly as possible. That's the complaint of EV owners. If they can fully charge their vehicles in an hour, I'm sure they'll be happy to use our car parks. And if we have sufficient chargers installed, we can reduce the flow of traffic on the road just for waiting for a charger. We can reduce emissions as well. Right, thank you, Chair. I will give the floor to Mr. Ng to answer the first question. As for the second question for electric vehicles, it's 7 kilowatt per hour. This might be regarded as slow charging for some. As for superchargers, we provide 2 out of 100. It's usually for shopping malls. For other users, because they only need to charge their vehicles once every 2 or 3 days, it may not be necessary to install superchargers for monthly tenants. Mr. Ng. Right. For integrated machines will be installed in 4 housing estates that can take in both plastic beverage bottles and beverage cartons. They'll be installed by the end of 2025. Ms. Doreen Kong, rainwater harvesting. I understand from the administration that the rainwater collected or harvested is for irrigation. Apart from irrigation, how can we better make use of the water harvested? Because we have heavy rainfalls in Hong Kong. Another point, let's say if we introduce municipal solid waste charging next year, will all housing estates be ready? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Kong, for the questions. Ms. Kong also mentioned that we have a zero irrigation system. On average, each housing estate is able to harvest water up to, say, half of a swimming pool. But we will continue to look into options of utilizing harvested rainwater. Mr. Ng can supplement the other point about waste management. Now, the member asked about MSW charging scheme. Assuming this is to be implemented, the Housing Department has always been supporting the green policies. We have waste separation at source. We'll continue to enhance recycling facilities such as the smart recycling bins, reverse vending machines. We'll also step up publicity and public education to raise awareness. A quick question, Chairman, about harvested rainwater or recycled water in other places. The harvested water can be used for other purposes apart from irrigation. So I'd urge the administration to give it a thought. Right, if there are no other questions, that's all for this item. We should now move on to the next one, and that is Smart Estate Management promoted by the Hong Kong Housing Authority. Right, we're joined by Mr. Hong, Deputy Director of Housing, and Ms. Harun, Assistant Director. So, Deputy Director, when you're ready, please walk us through the paper with the PowerPoint. But please be as brief as you can. I suppose members have read the paper. Please complete your presentation in 10 minutes. Members, if you want to ask questions, please press the button. Chairman, members, the Housing Authority is the largest public housing provider in Hong Kong, and we've always strived to provide affordable housing for low-income families. Now, with supply in public housing, we'd like to adopt innovative technologies to enhance management efficiency and service quality. We've selected 10 public housing estates as pilot sites for smart estate management so as to enhance work efficiency and speed up maintenance and repair, as well as enhancing the security of housing estates, improving the environment, and enhancing the sense of belonging and sense of gain for local residents. I'd like to brief you on our tech initiatives. Now, the smart estate management covers 4 aspects: Internet of Things, AI image analysis, application of robots and small unmanned aircrafts, as well as use of mobile devices and other systems. I'll start with Internet of Things. We need to build infrastructure such as sensors, base stations, data networks to enable Internet of Things in housing estates. They will collect data to enhance estate management's efficiency, and more importantly, different networks can be connected together so that management staff can access the platform and check different scenarios in different housing estates anytime. About 1,100 sensors have been installed in 6 housing estates. Now, these IoT sensors can be used for different purposes, and for different scenarios, we've installed different sensors. so as to explore the applications that can achieve the greatest cost effectiveness. For example, for flood-prone areas such as the entrance exits of basement car parks, lifts, escalators, power supply systems, we install sensor systems. That's for flood alert through IoT. Once the alert is triggered, a warning can be issued for the management staff to take follow-up action and implement preventive measures. For obscure places in housing estates, we also install sensors to detect human activities. For narrow alleyways, inconspicuous places, they may not be reached frequently during patrols. So through installing sensors, we'll be able to enhance security. We also have roads within housing estates where the loading and unloading areas are occupied by vehicles or objects. And to deter illegal parking, again, we install sensors so as to step up enforcement and surveillance. In April this year, in Wenhon Estate in Kwun Tong and Shanglok Estate in Ho Man Tin, the HA has launched the pilot scheme of IoT door sensor system installation for elderly households. These are housing estates with a larger population of elderly residents, and for elderly participants equipped with a system, messages can be sent to their designated relatives and friends so as to provide timely support. For barrier-free toilets or disabled toilets is for those with mobility issues, and we also install sensors to detect any user falling or fainting inside the cubicle so as to provide swift assistance. Another aspect is AI image analysis. In order to tackle the black spots of falling objects, the HA has installed the so-called eyes in the sky CCTV surveillance systems. These are high-definition digital cameras for 24-hour recording. It may take many hours to go through the video clips manually in order to catch a fleeting image. So with AI image analysis, the system can analyze and quickly identify the source of the incident for management staff to collect evidence, and this has greatly enhanced the efficiency of evidence collection and regulatory action. We have successfully handled 18 cases of objects falling from height. We've also allotted penalty points since May 2023 to enhance deterrence. Apart from objects falling from height, we also apply the same technology to other scenarios, such as non-compliance and illegal parking. With AI image analytic technology, we can have real-time analysis. Breaches or violations are automatically identified. Notification will be sent directly to the management staff for prompt follow-up actions. Next aspect of smart estate management is the application of robots and drones. Robots can automatically patrol the flat terrains of the housing estates. They can also take photos at specific locations and upload the photos to the monitoring platforms. If misdeeds are detected, such as smoking in non-smoking areas or cycling in breach of the regulations, the robots can immediately broadcast the information. This can help reduce conflicts and enhance publicity and education. the robots can complement the work of security staff to enhance the overall security of housing estates. As for cleaning robots, we have outdoor and indoor ones. For outdoor, large-scale cleaning robots are suitable for cleaning work in level area in public places. Indoor cleaning robots can be deployed to corridors and lobbies on each floor of a building, which can help save manpower and time while enhancing overall efficiency. As for small unmanned aircrafts or drones, we use drones to inspect trees and rooftops. We can check the crowns, branches, which are hard to access. This is where drones come in. Every year, we inspect about 500 trees and 300 green roofs. Through the use of small unmanned aircrafts, we can save manpower and we can help check inaccessible spots. This can help save time and enhance efficiency. In the past, we made use of telescopes and inspect exterior of buildings and lifts from afar. Starting from the middle of 2022, SUAs have been utilized to inspect external walls of estates and lift shafts. With thermal imaging, drone shooting, as well as AI image analysis, we can automatically identify defects on the exterior of buildings so as to generate risk assessment reports. Using drones can greatly reduce the hazards for our staff working at height whilst improving work efficiency. The HA earlier tried using drones to inspect lift shafts. This can address the need for frontline staff to work in a confined space. There will not be a need to erect scaffolding. This can enhance safety and reduce time and save time. We also have another system. We have smart patrol system, making use of RDIF as well as real-time data transmission. Security staff will be able to record their daily patrol work through a very simple interface. They can upload photos and information for management staff to take follow-up action. Now, this system can also accurately record the patrol routes. This can help save paperwork and enhance precision of the or accuracy of the records. Upon completion of this trial successfully, we're going to further extend this system to all housing estates. On the ground floor, we've also installed e-notice boards so that residents can have the latest information, and then we have posters, video clips, and local residents will have access to the latest information provided by the HA. Apart from what I've said above, the HA has strived to continue to introduce different innovative technology and AI and smart systems to enhance estate management and service quality. For example, we have an app to provide digital services. We also make it convenient for local residents to pay rent electronically. They can also check different information. We have also a smart contactless access control system. We have a centralized platform that collects information for analysis. We also work with different government departments and R&D institutions. We will actively review the application of smart technology so as to incorporate them in our next contract. With rapid advancement of technology, we can make use of public housing estates as different use case scenarios, and we'll continue to work with the property management sector and our IT sector. We will keep an open mind and we'll continue to seek feedback from stakeholders to enhance our service quality and instill in residents a sense of bliss.
Thank you, Administration. 9 members have pressed the button. I'll read out their names. Mr. Ambrose Lam, Dr. Wendy Hong, Dr. So Chun Wing, Mr. Michael Lee, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Scott Learn, Mr. Tony Che, Mr. Kwok Wai Keung, and myself. 4 minutes for each member, including questions and answers. Mr. Ambrose Lam, please. Thank you. I have 3 questions. Paragraph 4 of the paper says that the HA has installed 1,100 sets of sensors, establishing an IoT early warning system. This includes the monitoring system for tackling rodent infestation. A lot of times, traps are placed in markets, and we see rodents running around the traps. So I want to know how effective this monitoring system is. My second question concerns paragraph 6. As mentioned, the HA has installed 800 units of CCTV surveillance systems. Since May 2023, it's been about 2 years now, but only 18 cases have been handled with the assistance of the surveillance systems. Is it because people were aware of the surveillance systems and they no longer threw objects from height? I think 18 cases within 2 years is not does not make sense. Also, we have seen many elderly residents who live alone and they passed away without people knowing. In the future, will you make use of technologies to care for these elderly residents? I understand that there is this IoT door system that helps monitor the safety of elderly residents. Administration. Yes, we have been making use of the IoT system to monitor the movement of rodents. It is not to catch rodents, it is to track rodent activities. This helps us track where rodents gather. And so, yes, we have been making use of this system apart from using IoT in each PRH estate. There's a system that makes use of infrared technology. Such systems help track rodent activities as well, and this helps us tackle rodent infestation in a more precise manner. Now, turning to the CCTV surveillance systems, all along we have been adopting our own ways to deal with residents that are not very cooperative. But I have to stress that most of the PRH residents, they are very cooperative. Only a small group of PRH residents, they breach the rules, and so we have to allot penalty points to them. We adopt a sensible and compassionate approach when we deal with any cases in breach of the rules. Our ultimate goal is to tell residents not to breach the rules time and again. A lot of times, these cases involve small children. They may not be aware of the rules, so we want to be compassionate as well as sensible when we allot penalty points to PRX residents. Also, I believe we've all been aware of the aging population problem in Hong Kong. Apart from the housing department, different government departments have been offering help to elderly residents. We have been working with different government departments to promote our IoT systems. Over the past 2 days, the Secretary for Labour and Welfare also mentioned that we've been working with the housing department to exchange information. the Labor and Welfare Bureau is launching a pilot scheme in Sha Tin and Kwun Tong, and the LWB has visited about 3,000 households within a very short period of time. I believe the relevant schemes will be extended to PRH estates and other districts. Dr. Wendy Hong, the Housing Authority, I thank them for briefing us on the smart estate management initiatives. I support all these initiatives. I have two questions. The first question concerns about data sharing and standardization. According to the paper, there's mention about the relevant initiatives, but there's no mention about standardizing the sharing of data. Will you build a platform for data sharing so that different PRH estates can have the data shared among each other? And will you also record their performance during typhoon? Will you consider working with the EPD or the Transport Department to compile statistics about air quality to improve the environment near PRH estates? Now, on estate management, can you share some statistics with us compared to the traditional management model? How effective is the smart estate management model in terms of the increase of recycling rate? Also, how much manpower are you able to save with the smart system? Please share with us how effective the smart estate management initiatives are. Administration. Well, there's no detailed mention about the effectiveness. Let me elaborate. We have been making use of technology for many years to manage PRH estates. We make use of electronic data. For example, when we bill contractors, we make use of our electronic system for the relevant repair and maintenance works. Also, if we have to visit certain PRH residents, we make use of our smartphones, and we also bill our residents making use of our electronic system. So for different systems, we have different sets of data, and we are in a gradual manner compiling these data, incorporating them into a centralized platform. This is to ensure that there is a platform to ensure data sharing. Moving forward, we hope that we can make use of AI to help analyze these data. We hope to adopt a preventive approach in terms of our maintenance and management. This is the way forward for us. On the effectiveness of smart estate management initiatives, to give you a simple example, we have the eyes in the sky, or the CCTV surveillance systems. This is to help tackle objects falling from height. In the past, without the surveillance systems, we have to go through the CCTV footage manually. And it's hard for us to go through these footage. We have to spend hours to go through the video. With the technology, we may be able to spot the falling object within 1 to 2 hours' time. Also, we have sensors to tackle illegal parking. In the past, we rely on manual patrolling. We conducted patrol every 1 to 2 hours. With real-time sensors and real-time transmission of data, we'll be able to tackle illegal parking right away. Are you able to save manpower with these sensors and systems? Overall speaking, we try to enhance work efficiency through these technologies. We may not necessarily be able to save manpower. For example, with the surveillance systems, we may not be able to reduce manpower, but we will be able to improve our service quality with such systems in place. Next, Dr. So Chun-Wing. The administration briefed us on the smart estate management initiatives. For the 10 pilot estates, we have yielded results. However, it seems to me that there is a lack of initiatives that offer support to elderly residents. According to your statistics, in 2023, 24% of the PRH units were occupied by elderly residents. We want to make use of smart management and technologies to improve the living qualities of elderly residents. According to your paper, starting from April this year, in Wenhong Estate in Kwun Tong and Shenlok Estate in Ho Man Tin, you've launched the pilot scheme of IoT door sensor system installation for elderly households. This enables friends and relatives of the participating elderly households to find out immediately in case things happen in the flat. In the past, there were incidents where elderly residents passed away without anyone knowing in their flats. I want to know if you will install emergency alarm system or such IoT door sensor system and form an effective system and cluster and establish a smart network for elderly residents so that you can provide more appropriate support and effective support for elderly residents. Will you also work with the Social Welfare Department on establishing this network? Now, I think that it is also necessary to consider the needs of elderly residents. Some elderly residents said the iHousing app developed by the Housing Authority works well for those who are tech-savvy. However, for those who are not familiar with such technology, especially the elderly, it's challenging and difficult for them. I hope the administration, when launching this kind of mobile apps or technologies, will consider the capability of elderly residents.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. So, for the questions. Now, about this mobile app iHousing, I will give the floor to my colleague to introduce the various functions that have been gradually added to the app. We now make it as convenient for users as possible. For elderly users in particular, they will find it easy to use. For this door sensor, we've been trying out for months. Overall speaking, the operation has been smooth. The default configuration is 1 or 2 days before a notice will be sent to the friends and relatives. Because according to data, it's not very often that somebody would stay inside for more than 2 days. And basically, we are contemplating allocating resources in a more precise manner to help those really in need, especially elderly residents. So at this preliminary stage, this sensor does work, only that we need to further fine-tune the operation. And we also need to work with different government departments. Now, our goal is to show care for the elderly. This is just a tool that helps us more importantly, we need to show care to the elderly tenants. As I mentioned, apart from care teams, we also have HA staff, the security guards, etc., that are familiar with these elderly people. So if we all chip in and show more care for our elderly residents, then it will provide even greater help. Each PRH tenant can register for free the use of this iHousing app, and then a QR code will be assigned for the purpose of paying rent at convenience stores. You can also check the rent paid. You can also make use of the FPS to pay rent. The app also helps disseminate information on maintenance and repair within the estate, as well as other kinds of information such as new HOS for sale and the start of the application period. Notification will be sent. We continue to encourage our tenants to download this app, and for elderly residents not tech savvy, they can approach our office and our colleagues will be happy to help. Next, Mr. Michael Lee. Thank you, Chairman. Smart estate management is just something in line with the trend, and we can in fact make reference to the experience in other places, including the mainland. Now, for Internet of Things, will you consider following the mainland model and make the networks connect with each other so that different housing estates can have an idea of how the other side perform, and they can also learn from their experience so as to come up with the best way to, say, conduct repairs as quickly as possible. The other point is that for estate management, it's a major investment. It involves human resources and other aspects, and that security guards are now quite aged. What training would be provided to make sure that they are familiar with the Internet of Things devices, such as a smart car park, etc., and that when something goes wrong, you don't need to educate the elderly workers? And how do you make sure that there will be a fiscal balance? Will the cost be transferred to residents? And for the smart platform, will you make sure that the property management companies can connect their respective networks to the platform? The other question is this: after delivery of the policy address, we have been concerned about the smart estate management initiatives, such as the use of robots in detecting objects falling from height. Still, I think that you're not progressing quickly enough. Will you learn from the mainland experience in order to catch up? Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for the questions. To answer the question on connectivity, the data are kept by different systems. So to enhance connectivity, after collecting data in respective estates, the data will be transmitted to a central platform. So on this central platform, we'll be able to analyze the data collected. Property management company, we welcome suggestions from them, and that is why when we issue tenders, we also include this element. We welcome innovative ideas. They will have a greater chance of winning the bid if they have new suggestions. But we will need to make sure that these suggestions will eventually be put in place. So we do encourage contractors to adopt novel ideas because we need to catch up with the times. we do keep all options open. We do have regard to best practices around the world. We want to adopt best practices as much as we can. At the same time, we need to have regard to resource implications. Resources are limited. It is impossible to apply each and every new technology to all the housing estates. It's all about resource allocation. So we need to find solutions that are most efficient. Dr. Low Wai Kwok. Enhancing estate management through the adoption of smart technologies is something that I strongly support. One important area is caring for our elderly. As I understand from your slide, you have this IoT door sensor system for elderly households. An alert will be issued if there is no movement within 24 hours or 48 hours. Now say if we wait for 48 hours, by the time somebody knocks on the door of the elderly tenants, something could have gone wrong already. And there are other things we need to be concerned about. If the health of this elderly goes wrong all of a sudden, we're talking about a life and death moment. The life of this elderly tenant may be at stake. So it's not just about installing sensor at the door. If there is no movement even within the unit, then we should be concerned. Of course, you may go to sleep for hours, but if no movement has been recorded for too long, then this could mean something has gone wrong. We need to work out the nitty-gritty, of course. I just want to make sure that we take care of our elderly residents. We have an aging population. This matter is serious, especially in aged housing estates. Many tenants are elderly people. We need to make use of smart technologies. Thank you. Chairman, thank you, Dr. Low, for your comments. Indeed, we need to take care of elderly tenants. We have elderly singletons or doubleton households. We haven't looked into the option suggested by Dr. Low, but we do keep all options open. We'll continue to harness different technologies to achieve the goal, which is to minimize the risk exposure of elderly tenants. We'll go back and give it a thought and find the right solutions to help them. Some technologies may require subsidies, such as emergency alarm. We also have the Gerentech Fund to help adopt more Gerentech products. But back to my point, technology is a tool. What matters is that we need to show care for everyone around us. Our security guard see elderly tenants day in, day out, and it's only right that they ask about the elderly tenants if they don't look all right. Right, using technology is important. We also need to have the spirit of mutual help. Thank you.
多謝主席。首先就係支持即係房署啦、房委會啦。
Mr. Lau Meng Kwong. Thank you, Chair. I support smart estate management by the Hong Kong Housing Authority. It's not about saving money. We want to enhance efficiency without additional resources. From the PowerPoint, I understand the various smart estate management initiatives. They are put in place with a view of enhancing management efficiency, so I support them. I have 3 points. First, IoT door sensor installation. I understand that Wan Hon Estate and Shang Lok Estate have been chosen as pilot sites. About 50 elderly households have participated in the scheme. Has the scheme come to an end? Will you consider selecting more pilots for Wan Hon Estate and Shang Lok Estates? They were built towards the end of 1990s, so they're quite old. Will you consider selecting newer estates so as to adopt a different baseline to gauge effectiveness? Fall detection. That's my next point. I understand that fall detectors are installed in shopping malls, especially for disabled toilets. A few days ago in Highlight Estate, Sham Shui Po, an elderly user unfortunately fell in a toilet in a shopping mall and passed away. It's not a disabled toilet, it's just a normal toilet. But would we consider introducing fall detectors in other housing estates for other toilets as well to detect falling incidents? About parking spaces, what information is provided to users? Does it include idle space or vacant spaces for hourly parking? Because I'd like to check the availability of parking spaces as a motorist. Now, I use the e-mobility app, at least for the housing estate managed by the housing department in Sham Shui Po. No such information is shown in the app. So, will it be possible for the information to be provided? Can you put in place a system that can detect license plates so as to enhance efficiency?
Deputy Director, thank you. On the IoT door sensor system, as mentioned, we are now thinking about how we can further implement the scheme. We have to take into consideration resource availability. There's a monthly fee for the installation of the door system. We may select other PRH estates as pilot estates. We may also work with organizations to take forward the scheme. So we will look into this. Now, we are saddened by the incidents that took place in the shopping mall in Sham Shui Po. The elderly in question was found very quickly. As to whether we can have the detection systems installed in all toilets, well, indeed, we are focusing on accessible toilets at this stage. And for other types of toilets, there are cubicles, and if anything happens, people can find out very quickly. So we're now focusing our resources on accessible toilets only. Now, on the e-mobility system, we have uploaded lots of information onto the app, and we have been uploading the information by batches. As of today, we have 79 car parks information uploaded to the system. As for the car parks in Sham Shui Po, our colleagues are working on it, and we hope that the information will be included in the app by the end of this year. Mr. Tony Che. I support the Housing Authority in adopting the smart estate management initiatives. Of course, resources are limited, and we have a lot of elderly residents in PRH estates. We hope to make use of technology to offer help to them. This is hopefully the medium and long-term target. Now turning to the management of car parks in PRH estates. What kind of smart technologies have you made use of? For example, do you need any manual staff to manage the car parks? Do you still need manual staff to check the tickets or collect money? Can you tell us a bit more about how you adopt the smart initiatives in managing the car parks in PRH estates? Paragraph 6 talks about objects fallen from height. I'm not sure about the progress of your work. Is there an appeal mechanism in place to avoid any misjudgment? This is because if the relevant rules are breached, the penalty could be quite serious. Administration. I think there is a very slim chance that we make a wrong judgment. We go through the video footage to track the route and movement of the fallen object. In the past, we used the same kind of video footage, but we're talking about buildings of dozens of story high, so it was hard for us to track which flat it was that the fallen object was from. And we have the demerit point system in place. If the resident is concerned, is unhappy with the result, they could voice their grievance. But I think the original purpose of this system is to ensure that PRH residents could be cooperative so that they would not damage the environment that they live in. So we adopt a compassionate and sensible approach. We hope that residents who committed the misdeeds could rectify. Now turning to the point about car parks. We are thinking about whether we should put in place a vehicle license plate detection system. For example, when it is raining, drivers will not have to put their hands out to insert the tickets. We are looking into this. In the past, in old car parks, there were more constraints. Are there ways for us to improve these car parks to provide more convenience to motorists? Chairman, there are many new companies that adopt innovative technologies. Can the HA work with these companies and procure the technology that suits the purpose? Yes, we try to leverage market forces. We try to identify innovative companies so that we can do less when we make use of such technologies. Thank you. 3 members are still waiting to speak. This meeting is scheduled to end at 4:30. I will extend this meeting a little bit so that all members could speak. Mr. Kwok Wai-keung. Thank you, Chairman. PRH residents account for 1/3 of the total population in Hong Kong, and we have 200,000 elderly households that account for 1/4 of all PRH residents. There will be an increasing population of elderly residents in PRH estates. How can we make use of smart technology to manage PRH estates and improve the relevant services for elderly residents? Well, according to the paper, there's this IoT door sensor system installation for elderly households, and 50 elderly households are participating in the scheme. I want to know the progress of the pilot scheme. And what kind of strategies do you use, say, for elderly residents with chronic illnesses? And for elderly that are disabled, will you give priorities to them? The FTU is working with the Hong Kong Town Gas to roll out a scheme, and we have yielded results, so we hope the Housing Department can speed up the launch of the pilot scheme as well. Now, the smart door sensor system is probably going to be the trend. And this trend is unstoppable. How can we, through the smart access control system, combat illicit cigarette sales or other unlawful behaviors? I want to know if the administration has any thoughts on making use of this access control system. Also, I want to know if the administration has any performance targets. Are you trying to take forward the smart management initiatives step by step in a gradual manner, or do you have plans to speed up the launch of these initiatives? Administration. Well, smart technologies would definitely help. We on multiple fronts want to enhance our smart management initiatives, and this has been our target since day one. There have been barrier-free access built by the Housing Department. For elderly residents in need, we can take forward the relevant construction works for them. For example, if they want to widen their doorway, we could do so for them. We can also install handles for them in the flat. We have a set of well-being guidelines that include all these details. We attach importance to aging in place as well as inclusion, intergenerational inclusion. We have been organizing more and more activities to encourage elderly residents to leave their home. I think once they step out of their flat, it's already a success. Also, we have been conducting household visits to get in touch with the PRH residents. We've been working with different government departments to do so. For example, we share data and information with different government departments. We conduct household visits. We try to avoid any tragedies from happening. And for the pilot scheme of IoT door sensor system, it's been working quite well. Same for the access control system. PRH residents now under the scheme is making use of smart cards. We want to, for the next step, include octopus cards into the system as well. We will try out different methods, and we will adopt the best methods starting from 2026. Now it's my turn. I joined the tour led by the Housing Authority and learned about the different smart estate management initiatives. I think the flood alert system, as well as the surveillance system in inconspicuous areas, as well as the smart management for car parks, as well as the AI image analysis system, all these are very effective to help enhance work efficiency as well as management. I hope where appropriate, the Housing Authority will speed up all these initiatives. I myself is concerned about the smart access control system. In February and to April this year, we conducted a questionnaire survey, and 90% of the respondents said they wanted the smart estate management initiatives to be sped up. They also want better management and security. And you mentioned about the pilot scheme. We think that the selected pilot estates, the number remains on the low side. So I want to know if you would increase the number of pilot estates under the pilot scheme to speed up the progress.
Like the chairman said, we want to take it forward as quickly as possible. In fact, in the beginning of next year, we will be trying another way, and our target is to have the rollout in 2026. There are two reasons. We need to have regard to to resources, and we also need to see if there is sufficient manpower to take forward alteration. We understand, according to survey findings, some housing estates welcome the application. So we do have regard to survey findings. If for some housing estates they are not quite ready yet, we may need to step up education. Last member to speak, Ms. Judy Chen. I have a question about the the smart access control system. Well, I think it is very good that the Housing Authority takes the lead on this matter. For private residential buildings, even with the encouragement of the property management companies, local residents may be reluctant in accepting the new system. So for this Tuen Mun pilot scheme, I want to know the progress. You started the pilot in September 2024. Is it a full rollout, or is it just half-half? That means you will still have a security guard deployed with the installation of the system there. And will you conduct an assessment on how resources have been saved? Will you be able to save manpower? Will you be able to tell us the outcome of your assessment by the end of the year? Now, I'd like to pick up on another point raised by other members, and that's about our elderly residents. We need to go smart to help them. Here is my suggestion. Well, notices are issued, but with AI, I think we can make use of the text-to-speech function. This will help elderly residents a lot. Thank you, Ms. Chan, for the comments about the smart contactless access control system. We've received quite a warm response. Perhaps not in the beginning, but so far the feedback has been quite positive. There are two ways to go by it. The first one is a QR code. The other one is a smart card. We no longer use pass code. So basically, I'd call it a half-half. The response is really positive, and we're confident in taking it forward. Will we be able to save manpower? That's the question. But that's not really our goal. We want to consider things as a whole. The security guard is not there to help open doors for residents. I think this is common knowledge. The security guard is there to perform the duties, but on some occasions they may need to offer help. Our goal is to take things as a whole to enhance efficiency. The text-to-speech function, I don't think this is included yet, but I do agree this is a good idea. We can go back and give it a thought. But perhaps it's not appropriate to have this function at the lobby of buildings. I'm talking about the mobile app. Right, we'll go back and give it a thought, and that once we push the notification with just a pressing of a button, you'll be able to hear the notification. Right, members have expressed views on smart estate management. I think that these comments are well noted. If there is nothing else, that's the end of today's meeting. Last item, AOB. Is there anything on the AOB? If not, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.